Hi there, my name is Pat Erickson, and I'm going to be discussing how to swap some images on a web page using JavaScript. Kind of like a pseudo slideshow, but it's just a real simple, basic image swapper program. So here I've written an HTML document with some JavaScript, and the actual script is in between these two script tags. That's the actual JavaScript that's going to be doing all the work. And the images will be displayed in this HTML tag right here in the image tag. And so the image tag itself in the document has an attribute, a source attribute, where it finds the image to display, and it has an ID attribute that identifies that tag with that ID. Now the width and height, I just put those in to make the images fit within the web page. Normally that would be done with something else. So let me just start talking about this JavaScript. JavaScript is a way to make your website interactive. And so what we do is we declare and initialize a couple of variables. The first variable that we're going to declare and initialize is I. And I use I as an increment variable or index variable for accessing elements in the array. Then we're actually going to declare the image array called img array, and we'll declare that as an array here. And then we're going to assign images into the different elements of that array. Now, as you remember, an array is a variable with multiple elements. So the array always starts at the index 0. And so what I do is I assign image1.jpg into the element 0. Image1.jpg goes into the index element 1, and image2.jpg goes into the element index 2. So now we have image 1, image 2, and image 3. And so then I wrote this little function here that actually does all the swapping. So what this first line of code does, it takes a look at the HTML document, and then it gets the element by ID from the image tag, the element called slide, which matches this element right here. So it goes down, looks for that ID, and then it takes the image that is inside whatever element I is set at, which is 0. So it takes this first image and puts it into the source attribute in this image tag down here. So that's what's happening right in that one line of code. Then it makes a decision. It has to compare the length of the array. The length of the array is 3, has 3 elements in it. So it's looking at this variable I. And it says if I is not equal to the end of the array, okay, the length is the maximum values in the array. If it's not equal to the end, then we're going to keep incrementing I. And what that does, when it increments, so it starts at 0, it increments at this point, goes to 1, and it loads image 1. And then it does the compare again. It looks at the if statement, and if it's not equal to the end, then it increments to index 2, and it'll grab that image 2, and display it on the website. Then what it does, it increments again, and then it says, oh, wait a minute. It is actually equal. It's at the end. So now that this compare is false, it no longer will increment I, but it goes down to this else statement, and it sets I back to 0. And then it jumps out here, and it finds this built-in HTML function called setTimeout. It calls the swap image function again, and it will do this every second and a half. So 1500 milliseconds is 1.5 seconds. And you can set this at a higher number if you want the picture to display, for 2 seconds or 5 seconds. For 2 seconds, you would use 2,000 milliseconds. For 5 seconds, you would use 5,000 milliseconds, and so forth. Or you can have it go really fast, which are probably not desirable, but you can do that. So the lower the number, the faster the slideshow. The higher the number, the slower the slideshow. And then outside of the function is this window.onload function, which actually, when the browser window opens up, what this does, it loads swap image. So it calls swap image for the first time right here, and that is what starts it all. So as soon as that web page loads, it's going to call swap image, it's going to put in the image 0 in there, and then it's going to just swap those images out forever and ever. So let's take a look at this, and I'm using this product called Brackets, and I'm going to look at this. It's a live preview, so we're going to actually look at it in the browser, and as soon as this comes up, we should see the images come in and swap. So every second and a half they go on, and that's what it does, and it just goes on forever and ever and ever until I actually do something else with it. I click on something else, open up a new tab, or I go somewhere else. But it's pretty basic. That's what it does, and it adds a little bit of interactivity and action on your website, and it's a good jumping off start. You can put in more code to make it slide, to make them fade, to whatever you want to do. But this is just a really simple code, and it's kind of fun to play with. So if you want to play with it, check it out, edit it, change the speeds. You can put in more images if you want, and away you go. So have fun with it. Thanks.